what Ukraine has done in this advance into Kursk is extraordinary. I mean, no foreign military has entered Russia since World War II.
Before we continue, we invite you to follow our channel, the only American show reporting live from Ukraine every day.
Wendy Snyder here with you. Bob Sirott's on vacation for a week or so, and we go live to Ukraine right now and check in with Joseph Lindsley. What's going on with Ukraine's Kursk advance, how the press covers it, and how Russia's presenting it. How are you, Joseph?
Hey, Wendy. Hello from Kyiv, and always great to talk with you. At the moment, we've had, really for the past couple of hours, air alarms on and off throughout the country. We had warnings about an hour ago that we should be expecting the Kinzhal hypersonic missiles within 20 minutes entering into Ukrainian cities, including here in Kyiv. But then I just got the report that was a false, it was a simulated missile sent by Russia. So electronic warfare, something that we have to deal with all the time. So currently there are no missiles on the way, but Russians would do this pretty often to confuse Ukraine's air defense system, to put the population of Ukraine on alert. But at the moment, it's calm here. We do have 4 Tu-95 bombers. Russian bombers are airborne. Anytime these bombers are airborne, there is a possibility of some kind of attack. So that's the situation here. But what's happening in Kursk, this Russian region that borders Ukraine, Ukraine is still advancing. Slowly, but still making progress. It's quite remarkable that, Ukrainians have, there are cities and villages in Russia that now under Ukrainian control. And, this is a non-nuclear armed nation now entering and holding territory in nuclear armed Russia for more than 12 days now. So it's pretty astounding what's been happening. And there's, now there even are foreign reporters and NGO workers going into Russia. And imagine, people who've been covering Ukraine for these past 2.5 years, they never could have imagined going into Russia. And now some of them are there, including Ukrainian soldiers, of course. It's a very surreal experience. And I was talking with some foreign NGO workers, who work for different non-governmental organizations. And, the individuals here, they want to go and do everything they can to help the civilians, those Russians who have not fled, and to offer assistance to Ukrainians there. And it's interesting, an interesting conundrum. If for a lot of foreign organizations, once they cross that line into sovereign Russian territory, they are afraid that they will be subject to trouble with international law because they're now entering, a different nation, sort of occupying it. Russia has had no compunction in doing this to Ukrainian territory. But even the groups who come here to help in Ukraine, they want to follow international law. And so they have a bit of a difficulty on it. And we still see, if you remember what happened in 2022, we have all the images of when Russia was invading Ukraine and, how even grandmothers are making Molotov cocktails to resist. There is nothing like that on the ground in Kursk. What we see in many of these cities, and sort of small cities and towns that Ukrainians have entered, most people have already fled. There's no resistance whatsoever. There's a lot of people who've been left behind and abandoned. There's many accounts of Ukrainian military giving water and food to these Russian civilians who've been abandoned by their compatriots. And part of the reason it falls to the military is, again, because the foreign aid organizations don't want to cross from Ukraine into Russia and sort of risk, breaking some international law. And so a lot of this is simply down to the kindness of the Ukrainian soldiers. And there was a video I just saw of a Russian prisoner of war in Ukrainian custody. And when Ukrainians made this video, they knew what they were doing. There was a famous Ukrainian rapper called Sasha Yermak, and he used to rap in the Russian language before this big war started. Now, of course, he only sings in Ukrainian, but he was very popular before 2022 in Russia. Russia was a much bigger market, of course, than Ukraine. And so the rapper Sasha Yermak, he's now in the Ukrainian military, and he entered into one of the cells of a Russian prisoner of war to ostensibly to interrogate the prisoner. And the prisoner was, that you could see on the camera, the prisoner was looking at his feet, and the famous rapper comes in a military uniform, and he starts to ask the Russian prisoner questions. And all of a sudden, the prisoner looks up and says, "Whoa, are you Sasha Yermak?" He says, "I like your music, man." And, it was sort of, and obviously, Ukraine, I think the Ukrainians knew they'd get that reaction. But you see, for the regular Russian, before this, there was affinity for Ukrainians, and actually, Ukrainian musicians were some of the most popular musicians in Russia, and so you see, how a lot of these things have been manipulated, by the leadership of the Kremlin. But it was a jarring thing to see. Just imagine you're that Russian soldier, not knowing why you were sent into this, and then all of a sudden meeting. It's hard to come up with an American, sort of a similar example. But imagine you're a prisoner of war, and you see all of a sudden you're being interrogated by one of your favorite musicians. Yeah. I don't know, Taylor Swift or John Bon Jovi. I don't know. But
right. That would be weird. It was such a big shift going on there right now. And I believe I heard something that there was a large earthquake happening in Russia. Is that anywhere near the border?
No, that was in the far east.
Okay.
And so, again, Russia's so massive. So, no, nothing here in particular. And I will just quickly, I mentioned it was interesting. The Washington Post had a headline yesterday: Ukraine's offensive derails secret efforts for partial ceasefire with Russia. This is really weird reporting because, what Ukraine has done in this advance into Kursk is extraordinary. I mean, no foreign military has entered Russia since World War II. And the headline from the Washington Post on Sunday was putting this advance by Ukraine in the most negative light possible, saying that there could have been negotiations, and now Ukraine just ruined it by showing strength. And so there's a lot of maneuverings behind the scenes to pay attention to. But as far as Ukrainians are concerned, this advance shows that Ukraine can move toward victory.
Love to hear that. Anything to get this over with and victory. Good luck to you. Stay safe. We will be speaking again tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, people can go to UkrainianFreedomNews.com. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on? На чиїй ти стороні? Come on now. Oh, which side are you on? На чиїй ти стороні?